Hi YouTubers, this is another video from your friendly neighborhood reviewer Evelyn. Today we're going to be reviewing another new K-drama series called Taxi Driver 2, starring Lee Ji-Hoon, also Kim Eui-Sung, and pure Ye-Jin, and the rest of the ensemble cast of characters. Now let me tell you about this series. In Korea, it's very rare that they give a series a part 2 or a second series. So Taxi Driver, I saw the first season, I think it was 2022 or 21, I can't remember when it came out. So the premise of Taxi Driver is essentially about this guy that owns, it's like a taxi complex, of course, where the taxi drivers come and get there, where they work basically. And the premise of the show is about a group of people headed by the main guy of Boss Jang, the character, in which all of them have been victims of police not doing their job right. The main character of Kim Do-ki, he's an ex-army, and something tragic happened to him as he was returning back from discharge or like maybe on leave. His mother was murdered by a serial killer. By the off chance that the serial killer was going to a funeral, some sort of family member, and when Kim Dong-ki went to his mom's home, he got traumatized hearing the sound of the kettle going off and seeing his mom's dead body all over the floor. So I can't remember how he met Boss Jang, but him and as well as Go Young take a girl who's basically a hacker, and then we have the other characters of the mechanics, the two guys here. I'll put up the pictures. They complete the team while Boss Jang is there. So it's basically like in the first season, it was like a psychological experiment that Boss Jang wanted to do. He was in league with the underworld, in which all the criminals or the corrupt people from the government in series 1, and they would have them in jail cells. And Boss Jang had some kind of thing where he wanted to maybe convert them to make them realize that they were doing evil things. So season 1 was essentially wrapping up Kim Do-ki's story about finding out who really killed his mom, because the police initially thought it was some other guy, but they found out it was another serial killer. And in season 1 we had the prosecutor and slowly coming onto their side, but unfortunately the actress, I don't remember her name, due to scheduling conflicts, she didn't return for season 2, which I found a shame. So season 2 picks up what left on season 1, in which the end that the whole kind of operation got kind of exposed, but not exposed at the same time, and they all decided to try to move on, especially Go Young, who she had her own trauma in which her sister fell victim to this, the underworld thing, where you have a boyfriend and it turns out that the boyfriend was taking nude pictures and making the sister do X-rated stuff on camera. So the sister got traumatized, and of course the other mechanics, they had family members that died unjustly and the police did nothing, squat. So by the end of season 1, they all decided to try to move on with their lives, everyone. The girl hacker, she went off to be a police officer. But Kim Dong-ki, the character, decided to go traveling to, clear his mind. And Boss Jang, I think, took the rap a little bit for everybody. Let's start off with season 2 of The Taxi Driver. The beginning of episode 1, we get kind of like a flash forward that the whole group is together, in which Kim Dong-ki is in the prison. It's not revealed yet, and he manages to get these 3 people that were going to escape the long arm of the law, in which, of course, another thing, it's a typical recurring theme in which young women become prey of this seedy underworld internet thing, in which all their nude photos get exposed to everybody, they get blackmailed. So the beginning of episode 1 is the team of Taxi Driver. They managed to extract these 3 criminals, and they managed to change the facts that the criminals were going to go on the run, in which defeating the purpose that they're going to get maybe a lighter sentence. So there we have that. And then we get put forward I think it was 2 years beforehand, like what happened after, in which we see the whole team disbanded, that the 2 mechanics, the younger one is working for NASA, the guy of Cho Kyo-young, the character name, he's there working as a mechanic, let's say, in the big, car company. And then the only 2 people remaining carry on doing the job is Boss Jang and Kim Dong-ki. The main thing from episode 1 that does follow is Boss Jang goes and leaves advertisements to people that are vulnerable, that are on their last thing, that they're going to, take their own life, in which by the off chance they'll see a little sign saying Even though they still carry on the same thing, you know, don't die, take revenge, we'll do it for you on a telephone number. Because the premise of this whole series, the team, that they help vulnerable people that being unjustly put aside by the law, and they'll help them take revenge. They never really take payment per se, but it is more like in the fact, just keep quiet, we do it for you, in which they do. So the first case that we get is the most heart-wrenching case ever. It's about this father who is like a single father that ended up raising his son by himself. He was like the owner of this little restaurant, a takeaway, but tough times were going on, in which his son grew up nice and well and healthy, but then he realized his dad was struggling. So the son, you know, decides to take 2 years off, and he gets a job in Vietnam. Now, this doesn't end well ever. And the dad says, okay, you know, he buys his son a suit, they have a tearful farewell, and they're communicating while the son is in Vietnam in this job. But all of a sudden, the son doesn't communicate with the dad, and the dad's like freaking out. He's like, you know, what happened to my son? He goes to the police, and the police said, oh, your son phoned saying that he ran away. So, you know, since the son was like 20 years old, there was nothing they could do. But the dad, you know, receives a phone call from his son in distress, and the dad even receives kind of like maybe a fake suicide note. Well, the police just pushes it off. Again, the recurring thing about the corruption of the police. So the dad is at the breaking point, and at the time, the female hacker of Go-Young, she's a police officer and she's trying to help. And she encounters in where she's working, she's not doing a substantial job, she's there in the information part of the police station. And even her higher ups tell us just, you know, stay within your lines. But inadvertently, the dad, he was about to jump off the bridge, the Han River, you know, the famous site. And he sees the little sticker from Boss Jang saying, you know, don't die, take revenge, we'll do it for you. And on the last bit off chance, dad does call Boss Jang, and then we get Kim Do-gi back in a deluxe taxi, there with his cool shades, his gloves. He looks, you know, you know, so cool and badass. So he goes and meets the dad, and the dad tells Kim Do-gi the story. The most unique aspect of the Taxi Driver series, kind of feel like the 80s feel, the retro vibe to it, and it makes it gives it that cool feeling. You have to suspend belief in some of the action scenes because they give the character of Kim Do-gi, making it look the ultimate fighter. In real life, he would have been a bit more messed up, but hey, this is fantasy we're talking about, so let's dream a little bit. So Kim Do-gi is recording the father's story, and then we hear to the point where basically his son got entangled in this gambling ring in which these criminals from Korea go to Vietnam. They trick young guys to go for a job site, believing that they get taken care of, and they get beaten and forced to create these illegal gambling games. And when they have no use, they get disposed of. So episode 1 and 2 is Kim Do-gi traveling to Vietnam to find the son of this father who he's secretly looking for. So episode 1 and 2, the gang kind of reunites together because the two mechanics of Park Ji-eun and Cho Kyun-koo, they're feeling homesick basically. They're not feeling that fulfilled because the younger mechanic of Park Ji-eun, he was gonna get reassigned from NASA to Russia, like a promotion to carry on doing more things. But you can kind of see on the both of them they're missing, you know, the team of doing something a bit more worthwhile. And they end up finding out that Boss Jang and Kim Do-gi, they're on a mission to find the missing boy. And it's just a funny scene in which they both go to Vietnam trying to help Kim Do-gi because they realize he's there by himself. And you just end up laughing thinking, oh my god, these two stooges, incredibly clever, but they're the brains, not the muscle. So it's just like so funny. But what was most funny that while in Vietnam, the two mechanics find out an old enemy from season 1. Because in season 1, the team takes down this kind of female crime lord of Ling Bok-ja. The woman, of course, you can kind of see they put on a fake teeth to make her have like a horse mouth. So Kim Do-gi disguised as this Chinese mafia guy goes and convinces this woman that he's in love with her, but it's a whole, you know, they ended up bringing her down, forcing her to, you know, go abroad. but she's still left with vengeance in her heart. She wants to find Kim Dong-gi and try to ask him whether he really did like her. I kind of felt sad for her because she does seem genuine in her feelings, but then again, like, okay, she's a mafia person, so let's not feel that sad about it. Inadvertently, Kim Dong-gi finds the two mechanics. He is kind of happy to see the both of them, and he finds out that his, let's say, love rival or maybe love interest of Lim Bok-ja, the female crime lord, is there. So she uses him to push where Kim Dong-gi is with the other young guys that have been held captive, push them into another compound to find the son of the father, because where he was, the boy wasn't there, of Lee Dong-jae, the son that's gone missing. They get moved off from there, and of course the female hacker, she ends up going back to Bo Strang's office, finding out that Kim Dong-gi is there trying to save the son, in which she knew about the missing persons case, and she ends up back in the chair, and then we have the whole team coming back together. So to cut the long story short here, to put the main important things, first, Kim Dong-gi fights against almost 20 people, let's say. All the prisoners are like, effed up in the face, bloodied and blue, while Kim Dong-gi has managed to escape his jail cell, not get beaten up, and he ends up fighting against the boss of the gang, this like big large dude. However, Go-yoon, the female hacker, she ends up finding out that her superior guy police officer, like captain of the team, he's corrupt. He's there doing a whole human trafficking ring in Vietnam. So that gives her the decision after, when the case is resolved, to go back to the team, because it's like corruption. But then again, like within the police station, she was friendly with a female lieutenant, let's say, like higher up in her position. Maybe there'll be more of an interaction in the following episodes. Maybe she might ask her like, oh, Go-young, like, what you doing, what's going on? So Kim Dong-gi manages to save the guys, and he ends up there's a big chase scene in which Kim Dong-gi is on the motorbike and trying to track down the corrupt police officer from Korea, and they have that confrontation on the roof. However, the corrupt police officer was going to meet somebody, because we're trying to find out who's the overarching bad guy from the series, in which they end up a confrontation in front of the roof. Before Kim Dong-gi can say anything, the corrupt police officer gets shot by a mysterious person that's on, its other side with a long sniper rifle, and ends up dying. So that's episode 1 and 2. We can see the reformation of the group. I've seen some of episode 3, in which we do explore more of Kim Dong-gi's post-traumatic stress disorder, in which he ends up driving one of his old comrades from the army to the base in his taxi, and when he gets off, you can see he's very uncomfortable being back in the army. And then when he's about to go back into his taxi, he hears the whistles from the army troops jogging, and he gets another attack, because when he hears whistling sound in a high pitch, he ends up getting, triggered by when he saw his mother died. So we get a really heart-wrenching scene. Okay, so this is the end of the video. You guys let me know what you think about season 2, and do you like the actor of Lee Je-Hoon? So if you made it to the end, a big thank you, and as I leave you always,